guest today is Christine Chang, and she is in LA, which is far cry from Southern England. I hope the weather's nicer than it is here because we've got rain today. But yeah, I hope it's nicer. Is it nicer there today?
It's nice. It's usually about 70 degrees on average. So I cannot complain. Yes, it is nice.
That's good. We haven't got those temperatures yet. Heading towards the summer where we might hit them, but not yet.
Yes.
So Christine Chang is a dating and relationship coach. And I'd love to hand over to you, Christine, so that you can tell the audience more about you and what you do.
Sure. So I mentor specifically high-performing women on dating and relationships because we are a specific breed. And I say we because I know what it's like, because before I met my husband, for a chunk of years, I had a really hard time dating and wondering why it was so difficult. Every other aspect of my life was great. I know how to make money. I love my career. I have good friends. I come from a good family. I have cool hobbies. But why is this small sliver of my life seem to always be problematic and so frustrating? So I dove into personal growth, and it's a journey. And I know what it feels like to be there. It's incredibly frustrating. It can be very painful. You could feel like, is there something wrong with me? That was the underlying feeling I had. And so my goal is to help women gain clarity so you can create the relationship of your dreams, because it's accessible. It's out there for you. It's there. So once you have the clarity, the confidence will come easily, or a little, I'll say not necessarily easily, but a lot more easier. You'll start making decisions to get you to where you want to go.
And I think that's the word I picked up on really was clarity, because I think we can drift into relationships. We can get into relationships that are unhealthy. Yes. We just don't seem to be able to find the right person because maybe we don't have clarity.
Yeah, it's mainly that. It's clarity, and also healing is a big part of that, because when you heal as well, that's when you start to choose different and show up differently. Yeah.
So to heal, we have to have self-awareness. So that self-development comes into the self-awareness, and then healing, and then we have clarity.
Exactly. And I write all of that in my book. For anyone who's visual, it looks like this. It's available on Amazon. It's called Show Up, Finding Love for Independent Women. And exactly what you said, I go into self-awareness, how it's important, healing, and then questions to ask yourself to gain clarity of not necessarily what you want, but also what you need. Because sometimes those two, it doesn't match up.
No, you're quite right. And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? We think that's what I want, but it's not always what we need. So, yeah. So where did your journey start? What was it that decided I've got to change and then I'm going to help others?
Sure. So for my own personal growth journey, I had my own patterns with dating. For example, one of them was choosing emotionally unavailable people. And I won't dive right now into why that was. I just know that's a pattern. That was a pattern. And reminder, if there's any pattern in your life, it's you. You're the only common denominator here. It's you. So I was like, what am I doing that I am drawn to this type of person? And then I got cheated on, which was extremely devastating for me. It kind of opened up a lot of pain that I had since childhood, surrounding not feeling important, betrayal, abandonment. And I mean, what a gift that was, that it kind of, shined a flashlight on that, because I had no idea how much pain I had surrounding these things. And so that's when my introspection started, because I wanted to get married. I wanted to create a healthy relationship. And so I was like, how do I do this? And a lot of us, unless you're really lucky that you have parents who are therapists or amazing role models and showing you and teaching you good communication and relationship skills, most of us are on our own. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any healthy models of what a healthy marriage looked like. So I dove into personal growth. I sought out friendships that friends that were in marriages that I admired. Just how are these women showing up in these marriages? That was super helpful for me because I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, that's one, it exists. The type of marriage that I want exists. The type of man that I want exists because I see it. And I think that's a big step as well, is knowing that it's out there for you and that it's possible. It makes it a little more real.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because I think if we don't have that positive role model or models, and if we don't see what works, then we're going to keep repeating the patterns because we believe, well, that's how all relationships are. And they can be pretty toxic, or they can be really unsuitable people, or whatever happens. So yeah, I think that's great advice, looking at relationships and seeing what works and what you want in a relationship. Because one thing might suit one person, but it's not going to necessarily suit someone else. So I think it's kind of exploration. And I think it is just really looking at, what do I really want? Would that work for me? Or is that just, no, that's not the kind of relationship I want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because sometimes we assume like we should be with someone that has these qualities or that's like this, for example, a lot of women I know who are high performers, very successful, they are drawn to partners who are also type A, entrepreneurial, very successful, but there's also an emotional component that for long term needs to be in place. And for example, for me, I was drawn to the very wealthy, charming, entrepreneurial guy. It was very inspiring to me. And there were aspects that were great. Like we would talk business and talk business ideas, all that was very fiery. But emotionally, it wasn't a good fit for me because many of them aren't patient. And a lot of times and I get it because I'm not patient either. That's what, the qualities that make us good at work and our jobs they also translate over into personal relationships. And I realize I'm so sensitive. I need someone who's patient, and I wanted someone who was patient. That's what felt good to me. Patient and grounded. Those are my two favorite things about my husband. Which, by the way, your favorite thing about someone, because I'm not going to just paint, like rainbows, sunshine, but because it is my favorite thing about them. But there's also the flip side, right? When you realize, oh, he's patient and grounded, it's my favorite thing. But it also means sometimes I feel like he's really slow when he does things, and it drives me nuts. Your favorite thing is also the thing that drives you nuts. But you have to realize that's when you ask for something, it also comes with the other side of it. So to go back to the entrepreneurial high performers, yes, if you choose that, it comes with the other side of that, which when it comes to long-term personal relationship in home, it can be very intense.
Yeah. So I'm hearing part of you saying that, yes, if you've got somebody who is high performing and a business person, great to talk about business, but does that really translate into a romantic relationship? Because you could easily never get off their business kind of chatter, and you're not really, it's different, isn't it? As you say, you're going to get great things on a business front, but is that what you want, a business partner in a romantic relationship? I think
exactly.
And I think on the other thing I picked up on is that your husband is very patient, but that makes him slow to make decisions or to, yeah. But, and I think this is the one thing that I encourage people to think about, you are very fast moving, you're there on top of things. I should imagine you're quite impetuous and you want to do it now. That's my sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And that can feel frustrating for each of you, but how wonderful is that? Because he can put a calming voice on and just slow you down a little bit and get you to be more grounded, as you said. But on the other side of things, you can encourage him to be more adventurous and take more risks. And I think that, you know, in relationships, my view is it's the best relationships are supporting each other to be the best version of themselves.
I agree.
So yes, you can get frustrated with each other, but it's also noticing the amazing qualities they have that balance us out.
Absolutely. And I've noticed a difference too. I'm just so grateful for it that I'm happier being like, he's rubbed off on me, his patience and being grounded. And I want those qualities. They're amazing qualities. He's also very present. He's very simple. All his friends live nearby. He bikes to their house. You know, the things that are actually important in life, when we reach the end of it and we're on our deathbed, the things you think about are the things that he does every day. He doesn't get caught up in the flashy, you know, the goals. I want a yacht, all those, you know, those are fun things, but he doesn't get caught up in those things, where sometimes I can, where I do thrive on goals and things like that. But when it comes down to it, the important things that we value, he and I are the same. And so I have noticed, we've been together 6 years, which I still consider new. You know, you're forever getting to know your partner. But I have noticed the influence we've had on each other the last 6 years.
That's great. And you're right, 6 years is not very long. And I've worked with couples who've been married 3 times longer than that, or maybe 4 times longer than that, and they're still learning things about each other.
Yes,
forever. Yeah,
it is literally forever, right?
Which I think is great, actually. You know, to still be learning something that you didn't know. Yeah, so that's so great. I think it's lovely, and I'm balancing that career with a successful career and a successful romantic relationship.
Yeah. How is that?
How is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to tell women that you need to get really clear on what a supportive partner looks like to you, because that looks different for everybody. And the 2 most common scenarios I've seen with high performers when they're married is they either work together and they're traveling, going to conferences, working together, or they have a partner that lets them do them. Like they give them the freedom, like, I understand you have to work, go travel, go wherever. And it's not an issue. It's not like you're never here. It's not, you know, it's not that they understand. So those are the 2 that I see the most often. And because that's support to those people, like it's support, because career is very important to my type of client, you know, and I totally understand that it's part of their self-identity. And so they need that to thrive. So whether it's a partner that works for them or gives them free, or works for them, works with them or for them, or gives them the freedom to, you do you, babe. Those are the 2 I see the most often. But the important thing is to get clear on what support looks like to you.
Yeah, I can see that totally, because it is deciding what works for the couple rather than falling into the relationship and then complaining that things aren't working very well. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is just that clarity. We're back to the clarity again.
It's the clarity. And also when we were talking about long term, there is a functional component to relationships. And maybe it's not the most romantic, you know, we like to, like in the movies, right? Like, oh, by chance, I met this person and the emotions, the butterflies feel good. That's great. But there's also other things to consider.
Mm,
You're with this
mm,
person a lot for a long period of time. There's certain qualities and certain ways of being, like functioning day to day, that have to work. Because if they don't work, you might be able to do it for short term. Great. You're in Italy for the summer and you want to fling. You might choose a different kind of partner because for 3 months you can tolerate that. But if you're talking 30 years, do you still want to be dealing with with the type of fights that you're having?
mm. Yeah, I think it is. It's a very different kind of view, isn't it? It's a different contract.
It is. Exactly. It is a different kind of contract. And I used to think, because my dad would say this to me when I was younger and dating, he said, when you're ready to get married, you are going to choose differently. You're going to, choose a different kind of partner. And I always would think like that sounds so boring because I wasn't ready for marriage. I wanted the push and pull and the roller coaster ride, which at that time in my life was great. And then eventually I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I want a loving, healthy, long-term relationship. What do I have to do to have
Mm.
that? And he was right. I I did choose differently.
Yeah, I think too many people get caught up in the emotional attraction or the physical attraction, and then they think that's it, that's what I want. But they don't, as you say, they're not thinking 30 years ahead, or how that's going to pan out in the real life. It's great, that honeymoon period, but that doesn't last. And I think that's what so many people forget. They go, oh, yeah, they're really great. They're really hot. They look good. And the sex is good. And we just love being with each other and the same hobbies. But they're not really thinking that longer term. What are the core beliefs you have? That's one I really, really think is fundamental to a successful relationship. And what is it we want from life? What are our life goals? Are they in sync, more or less? But people don't always think about that, do they? So they're not doing their groundwork at the beginning. I mean, as you say, self-awareness, brilliant. Yeah, and then healing, and then then it is literally the making that decision on what you want. And I think all of these play into it, don't they?
Absolutely. And I'll give a quick tip in how one can start choosing better. You mentioned core beliefs. If you
Mm,
know your core value, for example, mine's integrity, if you know what it is, that'll help you sift through people faster because you might meet someone and maybe he's really charming, sex is great. That can cloud your judgment sometimes. But look at, does he have integrity? Because if the answer is no, he's a no.
mm,
And so it'll help you navigate a lot easier if you know what your core value is. Because if someone else doesn't have it, doesn't matter how charming, how sexy they are, how
mm.
much they get you, it's a no. And that helped me a lot.
Definitely. I 100%. I think that's a great tip, because I was going to ask you for a tip that people can take away, but I think that's a really, really great one. It is, what are your core values? What do you stand by? What do we stand by? And then does that fit with somebody else? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's more than one core value. I look at quite a few,
Oh, yes.
things like I like adventure. I like to be spontaneous,
Yeah.
book a flight, go. If I was with somebody at one point who just didn't travel, didn't want to be anywhere else, didn't want to go anywhere. And that really created huge problems, because no, I want to get up and go. I don't want to be with somebody who never wants to move out of the house or out of the same town. It was claustrophobic. So I mean, there's lots and lots of things out there, but yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's been absolutely great. Tell us more about your book again.
Sure. It's called Show Up Finding Love for Independent Women. It is available on Amazon for Kindle, or you can get paperback or hardback. And it's very short and it's very to the point, because I guess that's me. I'm very direct. And at the end of each chapter, it will ask you a question. It's a clarity question to help you get a little more clear so that you can have the confidence to make better choices. Because a lot of times maybe we'll know, like, oh, I should choose this type of person, or I shouldn't be with this type of person. But it's hard to make those decisions, one, when you're not healed. So you might still find a certain thing attractive because it feels familiar to you. And also when you don't have the clarity, and the confidence, it's hard to make those decisions because you might question yourself. Am I making the right decision? Am I going to meet someone else? So when you have the confidence, though, you don't feel those things as much because you're confident of where you're going and what it takes to create what you want. So that's my goal for everyone out there who is feeling frustrated in this area of life, is just to have a little more clarity so that you have the confidence to feel good too. That's the whole goal, is to feel good as well. It's not to get things right. Like, I need to date correctly, if there is such a thing, or this relationship has to go somewhere or else I'm not doing it right. It's not about that. The whole point is learning about yourself and feeling good. And that's also often when that relationship comes, is when you feel good. So I also talk about that in the book.
That's brilliant. I'm going to put all your details in the show notes, but what's one easy way that people can get in touch with you, Christine?
Sure. Instagram would be a great way. My Instagram handle is at Chang and Co, and it'll be in the notes.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for today. I think it's been a fascinating conversation, and I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too.
Thank you. I have. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.